listening to Control Talk Now with your host, Ken Smyers and Eric Stromquist. Hi, this is Eric Stromquist from Control Talk Now. Hey, my daughter Evelyn Grace, she's come to visit the grandparents. We're actually on location in Las Cruces, New Mexico. Say hi, Evelyn, to everybody. She was really excited about Haystack, so I'm going to bring in Ken Smyers, the man, the myth, the legend from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Kenny, welcome to Control Talk.
Thank you, Eric. Thank you for that generous introduction. How you been? How's the travels?
Been doing great. Well, speaking of travels, you and I did a lot of traveling last week. We were both down at Haystack Connect, which, what a conference. I think we'll talk a lot about that in the course of this show, but suffice it to say, I'm still reeling from the ramifications and what a cool show that was.
Well, I'll say it's Age of the Aquarius meets Manhattan Project in Chattanooga, Tennessee.
You can't turn a phrase, my friend. You can turn a phrase. Well, let's kick things off with what happened on Control Trends last week. Kenny, what did we have up first?
First up, Eric, was the Honeywell introduced a nice little addition to their Striker and Zeo line. Honeywell released this new smart lighting zone controller. And it was a press release, and it was I'll tell you what, things are moving forward. This integration keeps getting better and better. The Lighting Striker provides incredible features, smart scheduling, design flexibility, energy savings, but it's all in that same family of Striker and Zeo. So it'll be a familiar platform and profile that people using the Honeywell stuff will be able to take and put to immediate use.
Yeah, well, good for Honeywell. Congratulations on that, and be interesting to see how that Striker works out. Sounds like a great concept. What do we have next, Kenny?
Well, next up was just to report into the live at Chattanooga. We were down there on the first day, and we tried to get something up to the Control Trends community immediately to just start to draw the interest where it belonged. It was truly a great week for the Haystack Connect community. It was a great start. We'll save this for the latter end of the show because we'll be incorporated. Yeah.
Lots to say about Haystack.
Next up was Tracy from Stromquist put up a nice little pick, Siemens for pick valves. Again, the pressure-independent control valve is a very interesting. In our market area, it's a little bit slow to develop, but you can see that it has its place. It's an energy savings. It provides a 3-in-1 control. And what about your area, Eric? Is it big in Georgia, people going to the pick valves?
It's starting to. We've seen it down in Florida a lot with some of like the nursing homes and places like that. It's a huge energy saver, really allows better temperature control. So we're seeing more and more of it, and I think that Siemens has a little bit different take on their valve, which makes it a little bit better controlled. The valve that they use makes it a little bit better. And Siemens was obviously up. The Siemens pick valve was one of the finalists for the 2012 Control Trends Commercial Product of the Year. So it's a product that people should really check out and try.
Yeah, Eric, I think Siemens as a whole is making an expressed effort to get back into the wholesaler or the distributor realm. They were at the Haystack Connect also. But the thing that this does is it provides the three function in one. And it's very, very important to realize it does the control valve, so it controls the flow. It does the adjustable flow limiter so that you do the designed, it provides the design flow. And then it also does the pressure regulator. So it's a 3-in-1. It's a great product, and we're going to see more of it to come.
Yeah, I think for our owners out there and for our contractors, where it really fits is if you have a building, and let's just say that on the top floors your coils are getting starved, they're not getting enough chill water or hot water up there. That's an indicator that your floors aren't being balanced properly, and even though you get them set up originally correctly, what this does is automatically adjust that, so you never have to worry about a coil being starved at the top floors at the end of those runs.
Righto. Next up, Eric, was another Energy 101 post, lighting choices, and the continuous effort to end light litter.
Kenny, tell people about light litter. That was actually a phrase that you coined. Tell them what light litter is again and sort of the mission we're on.
Well, basically, light litters, if you look at the Control Trends post, there's a beautiful sunny day, and then 8 lights are on, shining into their full luminosity. It's just a total wanton waste of energy. And money, and so somebody's paying for that. So somewhere at the end of the day, somebody has to pay for that expense that's just totally unnecessary. It's the lights being left on during the daylight hours where there's absolutely no reason for them to be on, and it indicates either a person has forgot to turn off the lights, one of the timers, the time clock is out of whack because of maybe power outages, and somebody has to go reset the time clock. But with all the great products we have available, AIC wireless, Watt Stopper, I mean, it goes on. We certainly can fix this. And if you look at the Energy 101 video, it shows you what a comparable cost is. So light bulbs, if you changed 15 old style light bulbs in your house with the new energy saving light bulbs, you could save $50 a year. I mean, it's a very, very calculating, tangible savings. It's not make believe. This is something that it's very important. So when people want to really and truly become more efficient and save energy around their household, around their commercial establishments, their parking lots, their church parking lots, and certainly along the highways, the state highways. There should be no reason those lights are on, not with the products that are available.
When you mentioned AIC Wireless and Brian Pike, I mean, that bullet product he has, which essentially goes on top of a light pole, and replaces the photo sensor up there and can be communicated with wireless. We actually have some video posts on Control Trends actually showing how that product works. It's sort of a no-brainer. So we'll put a link below to that video so you can check that out. But Kenny, you're absolutely right. There's no reason to be wasting money on lights, especially with light litter. And the post you're talking about with the video, those bulbs that last, they also last 3 or 4 times longer. So in addition to the $50 you're saving because the bulbs are more energy efficient, you're also saving on the fact that you're going to not have to replace them as much.
Well, Eric, that takes us to the lead story here for this week is the Haystack Connect 2013. Why don't you start that off and just what was your impression of the locale, the organization? I mean, it was a very smooth run program and great location.
What really was, it was the first. And the first show was amazing. It was very well attended. I think we probably had about 200 people there or maybe a few more. The quality of the people was just amazing. We had systems integrators. We had, I guess one of the ahas for me, Kenny, was the fact that you and I do Honeywell and Johnson and some of those product lines. There's a whole group of people that are tackling the energy, the automation, and the big data problem that I hadn't heard of until Haystack, and they are actively, are pursuing solving these problems in very unique ways. So from that aspect, it was really, really incredible. Our friend Heather Deal put the meeting on, so the meeting was fantastic. Great speakers. We'll talk more about that, but from very diverse places, if you will. For example, we had some people from the Department of Energy that were speaking. We had a consultant that works with power companies and owners to help them take advantage of rebates on automated demand response and energy saving things like that. So it was a great education. My head's still swimming from it, Ken. We shot over 40 hours worth of video, so we will be editing a lot of these presentations and getting them up on Control Trends as well as the Haystack website. But huge success. I think the industry is going to be changing, ramping up again, taking a whole new approach, incorporating what we had before and taking it to the next level. So amazing event.
Right, and I think just starting at the beginning, the people that put it together, I think hats off to Mark Peacock. Mark, great organizer, great, he knows the industry. He brought the players together along with John Petsy. John's a great spokesman. I mean, he's just very eloquent, very articulate, and he knows the business, and then...
It was a live integration, and until I got to the event, Kenny, I mean, I didn't really know what they were meant by Haystack, but Haystack is actually an open protocol that these companies are starting to embrace that can basically make transferring information and data much easier. So, a couple of our integrators that we were talking to, Kenny, that were there, I guess with this protocol, they're going from linking to a concept called tagging that's part of this protocol, and some of the integrators we talked to just thought it could save an enormous amount of time in setting information up to be shared from your integration platform up to your graphics platform, up to your analytics platform, and then even to whatever software you wanted to share it with. So the biggest takeaway I have is Haystack and the Haystack protocol is probably going to be one of the next really big things that we're going to see in the automation industry.
now overwhelmed with data, and the problem is how to make sense of it. What Haystack does and what tagging does is today most operational data has poor semantic modeling. It requires a manual, labor-intensive process to map the data before value creation can begin. Pragmatic use of naming conventions and taxonomies can make it more cost-effective to analyze, visualize, and derive value from our operational data. That is what Haystack does.
Well, yeah, and Kenny, I got to tell you, the systems integrators we talk to seem to be pretty thrilled about this, because if this gets legs, it's just going to save them a lot of time in terms of how they move data around. And not only that, it seems like you're not just moving the points, but you can move entire air handling units and that information from the systems integration point up to the graphics, up to the enterprise. And then I guess it also makes it pretty easy to use on mobile devices too, doesn't it, Kenny?
Yes, it does. But I think one of the things here is the invitation for the open source aspect of this protocol. In other words, instead of having everything so difficult and arduous, we're talking about people putting something out there. It's open license, so everybody's invited to go get involved with this thing. So I think the question is here: where do you fit in? You have to look at your job right now, what you're doing for a living, and say, does this impact what I'm doing? Will this impact me in the future? And if it does, how soon and when should I get involved?
Yeah.
Basically, you're looking at they came up, J2 basically financed NStack, which is an open source Niagara AX module that serves up project Haystack data directly from a Niagara AX station. So we're looking at now taking the information that's already existed. You have the projects, you have everything there. Now, how do you get that information out into one of these other applications? How do you get it to Sky Foundry? How do you get the sparking to occur? How do you get to J2 Innovations? How do you get that automatic data modeling? How can you take it to the next level? Haystack lets you do that.
Okay, so talk a bit more, Kenny. What else did you see that you liked there at Haystack?
Well, some of the contemporary controls had a great display. They did a great presentation. I want you to tell the Control Trends community your participation.
Well, I actually got to host the hardware breakout session. So we had three great speakers there. We had Greg Fasulo from InTouch Controls. InTouch makes an incredible light sort of commercial system, if you will, that really focuses. It's the thermostat, but it's more than a thermostat. Allows you to go up to the cloud and do analytics. So it really addresses that smaller space it can't afford to invest a lot of dollars in a big system. Does it very eloquently. Lim from EasyIO spoke. EasyIO has the IP-based controllers, the Beast from the East. They were releasing that, have just recently released that. And again, they're going after that smaller space as well. And then George Thomas from Contemporary Controls, and George is the CEO of Contemporary Controls. Brilliant, brilliant man, talking about using Linux as sort of the front-end open platform, if you will, for the controllers. So a lot about hardware. What we were hearing over and over again is the people that are going to win the hardware wars are going to be the ones that can have more I/O, more processing power at a lower price. And these three particular people really seem to be on that bandwagon. So it was very, very fascinating about what's going to be happening at the hardware level. So I think we're going to see more IP-based controllers. Security was a big theme at Haystack Connect. And there was some discussion about how do you make your controllers secure. So that was a very sort of interesting part of the dialogue. So it was a real privilege to host that. I think we actually recorded that, Kenny, so maybe we can get that actually up on Control Trends in the near future.
Sounds good, Eric. And just in summary, one of the impressive things that I heard there was how the middleware is starting to disappear. The device, instead of going to the device controller enterprise, you're just going to go device enterprise, and the devices are getting smarter and more potent, and you can see less clicking. In other words, the whole idea is to do less, save engineering time, and have less mouse clicks, so that the process is going to become more streamlined and more efficient, and it's going to be mobile app friendly and enterprise app friendly. So everything's connected. To coin Mike Marston's comment, information should find us. We should stop trying to dig down and find it. The information should be coming out and say, "Hey, we got a problem here, boss. We got this and that and the other," and that's the new concept. Taking advantage of all that IT and all that the potency of the new processor worlds are coming out with a dual processor. EasyIO has this. One's going to be taking care of the communication protocol, and the other one's going to be running the application. So it's just going to be more faster, more dynamic, and to shrink in the hierarchy.
Well, Kenny, I think we're going to be unpacking the Haystack Connect for probably weeks and weeks to come on Control Talk now. So the last thing I'd just like to touch on with that is the emphasis on security. I think one of the very interesting presentations we went to was Link Springs and about security, and the number of cyber attacks that are going up on building automation systems is growing very, very rapidly. And it has to be addressed. Now, LinkSpring is going to be rolling out a new product that does that, and we'll talk about that at a later time. But essentially what happens is that anytime you have an IP address, like a controller that's an IP-based controller on a network, that's a portal that a hacker can get in and get through to your system. And one of the things that I learned was essentially those ports are open 100% of the time, and they're probably only used maybe 5 or 10% of the time. So, how do you secure those ports where they're not open 100% of the time, and how do you work in such a way that you can eliminate the ability for people to actually get in? In other words, how can you secure that network? Now, conventional wisdom is you go through a VPN, and which is what people are doing now. And one of the things that I learned, Kenny, is that typically if you're in a facility, you have an an IT department. But if they're having to manage that, to keep the security patches and things like that updated on a network is very expensive. And if on the building automation side, you're actually having to pay that IT department, even if it's in your own company, to do that. So is there a better way to do that that's more cost effective? Well, we think we learned about a way at Haystack Connect, and we'll be rolling that out on a future episode of Control Talk Now. Okay, so Kenny, one of the really cool things about Haystack was that we're people from all over the world, and our voters for the Control Trends Awards last year, about 20% of them were from around the world. We had people from Australia and different countries that were talking about following the 2012 Control Trends Awards. They're excited about the 2013 Control Trends Awards. I think one of the things that's going to happen, we're adding 4 new categories this year. You can read about that either on Control Trends or join the Control Trends group on LinkedIn, which is the Control Trends Awards group. It's going to be exciting. It's a BB King's Club. We've mentioned that a couple of times. There's a ton of interest in that. The next step is really going to be to get involved in the nomination process. And the best way to do that is to stay tuned to Control Trends or join in at the Control Trends Awards group on LinkedIn. We want to get some dialogue. We want to really expand, make sure we have more people, more companies, more people that are involved in the nomination process to hopefully make it to the finals. But nominations are coming up next, so if you haven't already, please join the Control Trends Awards group on LinkedIn, or just drop us an email and comments and let us know you want to be registered to vote if you haven't registered to vote already.
Before the voting begins, we need people to join the Control Trends Awards group on LinkedIn or come onto the Control Trends site and sign on that way. But we need more participation so that we can get everybody involved. We missed out on some manufacturers last year, some solutions providers, and some great people. And the only way we can get everybody covered is to get more involvement. So please reach out and extend an invitation to everybody we can to join the Control Trends Awards group on LinkedIn and become part of the nomination process.
There you have it. You're back in the loop for the week ending May 5th, 2013. I'm Eric Stromquist. You can find me on LinkedIn and follow me on Twitter at Eric Stromquist. And that's my partner, the man, the myth, the legend from Pittsburgh, Ken Smyers. You can follow Ken on Twitter at Ken Smyers. Okay, thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next week.
Indeed.
I'm just Eric Stromquist. I'm here at Haystack Connect with Mad Mike Marston and Will. I am Master and Beast in the East creator. So Haystack's been great. You guys are getting teed up for the next great event, which is
CTN Awards in New York.
Control Trends Awards in New York. So you guys be sure to register to vote and look for the new product, the Beast in the East, and Mad Mike, the Beast Master.